Welcome to the B-side of Jung and the World, where we go off-road to explore the strange and even promising ways that the human psyche is adapting in a fast-changing world. I'm your host, Patricia Martin. Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Hilde Helphenstein, a woman who lived almost entirely as her online persona for 7 years. In part 2, she talks about what it took to heal from that and reclaim her sense of self. So this is interesting because at the top of this interview, Hilde, I was talking about how this user interface called the persona is there to help us adapt socially and move in the world, with the least amount of friction. But when we overinvest, it gives us symptoms. And it will give us, those symptoms will nag us. So the symptoms tend to escalate the more the investment until there's no other way to face it but to say, I have to stop being this other person. And the self demands that you return to it. It's kind of like a calling home that many people describe, like your mother calling you home for dinner at night, like you hear it in her voice in the neighborhood, and you're like, I gotta go. And so this is reminiscent of some of what Jung wrote about in terms of the overinvestment in persona.
And actually, I mean, this could be such a long episode. We'll try to keep it short. But I had a very traumatic childhood, and I was abandoned by my mother when I was 12 years old, and we didn't really have much of a connection. And I'd never really asked for help. I didn't grow up in my family's home very much. I was, there are large swaths of years where there's zero photographs that exist of me. And that are black holes for them in terms of time, but for me, like, I lived a whole other life of pain and anguish because I was sent somewhere where I was abused for many years. And I had been carrying around that pain and those resentments for so long. So I had escaped into art. Art caused me to escape into Jerry. And now all of a sudden, yeah, these things were collapsing in on me. And I actually, for the first time ever in my life, really like asked my mom for help. And I was in Zurich. I had moved from London to Zurich. I was hiding. It was kind of like cliche rock star shit, like where I was like hiding in hotel rooms, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Um, and I asked my mom to come, and I did MD, like real MDMA therapy. Um just between she and I, we didn't have like an intermediary, but it was the first time where I could open my heart to her because I had so many walls and so many layers up. And it was the first time, and honestly, it was the first, and it was basically the last time it ever needed to happen. We did it once, and once was enough for us, where she lured me back to Florida again. And I live 11 minutes down the road from them currently. But he actually genuinely healed not only our relationship, but this insane resentment that I could not drop because it was too associated with too much pain. One of the last things my ex said to me before I walked out of the front doors, he said, it's so sad, actually. He said, I believe that every single day, the person who makes the decisions inside of your head is the 12-year-old girl that was abandoned by her mother.
Mhm.
And he goes, until you heal that, you'll never be able to heal or grow or whatever. I can't even remember what the fuck he said, but that really hit me and it really made me mad in the moment. I'm like, "Oh, nice. Thank you. Thanks for the parting words, you know?"
Mhm.
But he was probably right.
Mhm.
And it's been so interesting because since then, this is something where this was trauma where, you know, 30 years had passed and I would still think of these things throughout the day at least a dozen times. So this wasn't light trauma according to my trauma therapist. It's called catastrophic trauma.
Mhm.
Um
Trauma with a capital T.
mhm. And it was massive psychological and physical torture. It wasn't of a sexual nature. It was like being waterboarded and stuff like that.
Wow.
So um so so yeah, I had some major resentments, like how could you have put me in the hands of these abusers? Anyway, we'll get back to art. But it was just very interesting because when we did this MDMA therapy, and I was able to open my heart back to my mother like a little girl and to love her again and really, really, truly feel love for her and accept her love and accept her apology and her and she asked for my forgiveness many times, but this time I finally was able to accept it. Um, it basically never came up again. I mean, this has been about 8 months now, but like I'm only thinking about it because I'm telling you this story, but I don't think about this stuff anymore. It's so interesting.
So
Like
you cracked the code of the rumination cycle.
it's it's gone for me. It's really gone for me. And I mean,
What a gift.
oh,
Yeah.
yes. What a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. So now you're free to reinvent yourself
Mhm.
because you don't have that boogeyman anymore.
That's right.
And
And
that's
it's interesting because I'm so soft. And I've learned that about myself. I'm like maybe because I'm still 12, maybe I'm going to turn 13 soon. I don't know in my head. But I'm a very soft, very loving, caring person who doesn't want to hurt people, who, doesn't who maybe is like not that funny. And I've considered that. Maybe I'm not funny. And
oh,
maybe I don't need to be. Like it
ah,
and that could be totally okay with me. I feel like that. I also the same with like the level of my ambition with what's going on in my career. Some people are like, how could you turn off your Instagram account and for your fame, your internet fame and your art world fame and presence? And I'm like, well, because it's not that I don't care, but I kind of don't care. Like I really
it's not
love
all of you. It's not the whole of you.
it's not all of me, and I don't need to hold on to it. And people talk about scarcity mentality. Like I'm very excited to meet these other parts of myself. I don't go, "Oh no, like that's gone, that's over. So that must mean there's nothing good or left inside of me." I'm like, "No, I'm free every day now to do whatever I want to do." And that has been really an excellent feeling. And I'm in the middle. I literally have a consultant in my living room working right now. Don't worry, they can't hear. But like we're working together very diligently to figure out what is this rebrand, and intentionally the rebrand is not a character.
Ah,
It's not a person.
yes, I think that's probably I think it sounds like you've had enough of that. You got out of it what you wanted to, but I think you're onto something really important about your reinvention. And, this is something that Donald Winnicott, the famous child psychiatrist, pointed out. When the infant or toddler doesn't get his or her way, something goes wrong, things fall apart, there's something outside of the child's control happening that it can feel to the child like catastrophic. And
Mhm.
in some cases, it can be. But the beauty of the psyche is that it will push itself forward to dig through the rubble of that. And then the psyche gets to choose again. The psyche gets to decide what is worth keeping in that pile of rubble. And that exercise of will becomes this fulcrum to individuate in a way that's very powerful. It propels you into another level of growth.
Well, I've had a lover recently. Um Somebody who I do love actually, and they love me. Um and it's been so interesting because it's the first time since all of this has happened where I'm just showing a person my full self without any pretension, without any what is it called? Like you were gonna like no there's no prologue, like there's no like, well, these are the things you need to know about me, and then you get to decide whether you love me or not. It's just like this person
Yes.
either is gonna love me or they're not gonna love me, and in this case they love me. And it's been so fun because we do things together, like again, like the yoga, the breath work, the meditation, we pray together. um all things that are very me anyway, but
Hmm.
I've met somebody else who is kind of into the same thing. And what has been interesting is because of my previous illness and because of certain things, like I don't have good balance, for example. I have like there's certain things about me that I'm not super proud of, which is why I have a fitness routine and I work very hard and stuff. But this person happens to also know a lot about the body. And because this person has had to heal themselves from a traumatic physical accident. And
Hmm.
so, and for them, it was a lot of breath work and a lot of heal, pushing through the pain and relearning and reteaching. And he'll work with me on things like balance and even on like sort of like neurological like games that you play with yourself where you're like, you know, to work on your brain and normally I would never let a person see me be that weak. Weak, or to
Yes.
see that I have these deficiencies. Um, and it's so fun to just get to like mess up and then like laugh and then keep trying and then also see that I don't give up easily, that I'll just keep going, like I'll just try it again, like try it again. So it's been a very interesting because before I was too afraid to show any kind of weakness in front of anyone because I didn't want to be hurt, and to feel safe enough to be like vulnerable and show that like, oh, well, I can't really stand on this leg for that long with my eyes closed and like
Right.
it's kind of cool to be vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah, to
That was
face
a
your
very long-winded
limitations.
way of saying be vulnerable, but being vulnerable is myself and smile. Like smile, and it's an innocent smile. It's not a smile of bitterness or of sarcasm or like, haha, gotcha, or like, or smiling at somebody else's demise, or, not that I was a villain before or something, but like to smile and laugh for the sake of smiling and laughing, something that just for me, for many, many years was basically impossible.
Well, I think this is one of the things that is interesting to study about the digital culture is that, first of all, the persona is really a thin layer. And when I look around and see how much weight is resting for many people, as influencers especially, you know, you've got an anvil sitting on top of this thin layer of the self that is really there just to protect us and help us get through the social external aspects of life. And yet, so it's not surprising to me that you experience some of what you experienced and were sort of brought to this deep despair because it starts to cave in on people because it was never meant for the job. I mean, I think this is what's so unique about our age. Like, we were never meant to be this connected externally and to have so much of the self reliant on that external validation and that external conversation. And so I think you're a perfect case study in this. And I really want to thank you today for being so honest and vulnerable here at Young in the World. I'm very moved myself by your story, and I'm sure our listeners will be too, Hildy. And I can't wait to see what's next for you. Are you going to give us a sneak peek?
Well, it's hard to say because it's in its infancy, sure. Um, but I don't know. I would be lying even if I said, "Let me give you a little teaser," because
Mm.
I also now, because I have business school, I also operate in a world of numbers. I don't just live in a world of art and I swim through the odyssey of abstraction. I also live in a world of numbers, and so building businesses, as many of your listeners, I'm sure, will understand and recognize, are an art unto themselves, and they're very complicated because the numbers have to work just as much as the idea
Hmm.
has to work. So I'm kind of in that grind phase, like I'm in the Steve Jobs in the garage phase,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Steve
yeah.
I'm
You're
I'm not
nerding
Steve
out.
Jobs giving a TED Talk or something yet.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm digging, and you know what?
What?
If I dig, I said this to somebody today because my former um executive assistant who worked for me for many years with Jerry and was there for me through the ups and the downs. Um, I told her, I said, I started this company because where I live right now, there's about to be 300 families moving in to these sort of like luxury apartments. And I said, when I moved into mine, I was so overwhelmed, I couldn't open a single box. And let alone figure out this is where the garbage can needs to go. This is the system we need to set up in the laundry room, like this, that, and the other. And I said, so I realized like I'm gonna start that business for all these people that are, this is not the art thing I'm doing. This is just the other thing that I'm
The
doing.
next thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna just start this business because I like the idea of helping people do this thing that I find to be very useful and very valuable. And then we'll just like take it from there. And one of the somebody had made the comment, well, but like, of course, like you'd never be like someone's maid or something, right? And I said, maybe I would.
Oh.
Like, maybe I would. Maybe, you know what? for the right dollar amount, I'll scrub a toilet. I'm not too good. I'm not too good for any of this. And if anything, I mean, there was a time when, peak Jerry Gogosian, which was essentially this time last year, I didn't even open doors for myself. People wouldn't allow me to open a door for myself.
Wow.
So imagine going from that and not having an ego then about it, particularly, just like, okay, fine, you want to open my door, I'll let you open my door. But to being like, I'm perfectly happy. Like, you pay me X amount of dollars, I'll scrub your toilet, I'll
Yeah.
clean up your baby's puke. I don't know. Like, I'm not above anything. And
This
that's
is
kind
an
of a
exciting
nice
place to
feeling.
be. Yeah, it's an exciting place to be. You're ready to begin again. You
Yeah.
have a little bit more, and this is why I reference the Winnicott thing. See, you get to go through the rubble and say, well, this still is me. This still feels right to my identity. This not so much. And so you're reconstructing based on the bones of what you're finding as you excavate and then put it together and move forward. So we're going to be excited to follow you. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you
Well,
for being on Jung
thank
in the
you for
World.
inviting me on. I was surprised to be a candidate, to be asked to be on your show. But I'm honored. And I hope that I don't know what your audience is like, but maybe there's something to be learned in what I said, or maybe just it's a fun story to eat popcorn and listen to. I don't know. Either
Our,
way, I hope you weren't bored.
no, our audience is all of that, actually. And so I'm sure they're going to love this and find meaning in it. Hilde Helphenstein, we wish you the best.
Thank
And
you.
this is Patricia Martin, your host at Jung in the World Weekend Edition. Thanking you for joining us and listening to this incredible journey of persona with the artist formerly known as @Jerry Gogosian. Thanks, everyone.